The higher-ups in Donghai City were naturally eager to know just what kind of powerful being can Wu Yixian, this proud daughter of heaven, contract with. At this moment, in the center of the playground, on the awakening platform, looking at the beast-taming awakening formation in front of him, Wu Yixian took a deep breath. Really? I've already lived a second life and experienced beast awakening once, but when it's my turn, I still feel nervous. That's right, Wu Yixian is a reincarnated person. In her previous life, she was born into poverty and wasted too much energy on survival, leaving her with no time for cultivation. This resulted in her only being able to summon an ordinary sparrow during the beast-taming awakening ceremony. Even so, she still relied on her amazing talent and perseverance to overcome countless obstacles and climb step by step to the peak of the Emperor-level beast tamer, and was named the Sun and Moon Empress. He was ranked among the top 10 strongest humans. Unfortunately, her poor foundation in her early years remained her most fatal weakness. In her conquest of the Forbidden Zone of Life, the Abyss Land and the Endless North Sea, she thought she could do it as easily as she could in other Forbidden Zones of life. Beneath the Endless North Sea, a mysterious and powerful demon, previously unknown to humankind, suddenly appears. Kun-pan, one of the 10 ancient fiends, known as the teacher of all ages of demons, whose wings can blot out the sky with a single wing. Ultimately, Wu Yixian was unable to defeat the enemy due to the burden of her beast taming. Along with countless human heroes, they perished in that eternally frigid abyss. At that time, Wu Yixian thought it was all over. But she never expected that heaven would take pity on her, and when she opened her eyes again after her death, she found herself back in her childhood. In this life, Wu Yixian did not waste any more time. She seized every opportunity to cultivate, and finally, relying on her memories and experience from her previous life, she worked tirelessly, from strengthening her body and bones to meditating on her mind. This is the foundation for his terrifying mental strength of 100 points, far exceeding that of his peers. In this life, with such a foundation, logically speaking, the weakest beast I contract should be a top-tier demon beast possessing the qualities of a king. For a moment, a barely perceptible glimmer of expectation ignited deep within Wu Yixian's clear eyes. As long as I possess powerful beast-taming abilities from the start, combined with my cultivation experience from my previous life, in this life, I will surely reach the pinnacle and make that kun-pan pay for its blood debt. Thinking of this, even after so many years, Wu Yixian still couldn't help but want to complain. You really are a jerk. A avian-themed demon king who doesn't live in the sky, but hides beneath the endless North Sea? Outrageous. Just as Wu Yixian was pondering, the host's voice rang out again. Wu Yixian, please place your hands on the summoning stone, concentrate your mind, and sense the beast that resonates most with your soul. Wu Yixian nodded and, as instructed, extended her slender hand and placed it on the cool surface of the summoning stone. He closed his eyes and poured his immense spiritual power of 100 points into his body without reservation. Buzz! The summoning stone suddenly burst forth with an unprecedentedly dazzling light. The light was not a single color, but rather a chaotic milky white, instantly enveloping the entire awakening platform and even causing many people below to subconsciously squint their eyes. Wow! Such intense light. This commotion is much bigger than anyone else's before. As expected of the campus belle of Wuhan University, this is definitely a sign of the birth of a high-level beast tamer. Exclamations erupted again, and everyone present craned their necks, their eyes fixed on the center of the light. Even Bai Di, the principal of Donghai City No. 1 Middle School, and Gao Yi, the city lord of Donghai City, couldn't help but lean forward slightly, eager to be the first to see the powerful figure that was about to appear in the light. A pat, pat. As the summoning light receded, however, the majestic beasts, the magnificent birds, and the elemental spirits that everyone had imagined did not appear. Even when the beasts on the awakening platform were clearly seen, the entire East Sea City No. 1 Middle School fell into an eerie silence. At this moment, on the summoning platform in front of Wu Yixian, there was a fish. A small fish fry, about the size of an adult's thumb, with a body of white, gold, and blue, and a slightly larger head and mouth, lay there. Seemingly unaccustomed to being out of the water, the little fish was struggling to move its tiny body, its tail slapping against the stone surface, its mouth opening and closing, appearing incredibly fragile. At that moment, the expectation on Wu Yixian's face froze. Even with her reborn as an emperor, she couldn't stay calm at all. Her lips twitched slightly, and her mind went completely blank. This big-mouthed monster fish is my destined tamed beast. The huge difference was something Wu Yixian found completely unacceptable. After all, this was far too different from the incredibly powerful and majestic monsters that had been anticipated. With its appearance and size, let alone fighting, it would be considered too small to be kept in a fish tank as an ornamental fish. And, at this moment, having just experienced spatial teleportation and still feeling a bit dazed, Su Han finally came to his senses. He shook his still slightly dizzy head and looked around at the completely unfamiliar surroundings: tall buildings, densely packed people dressed in uniform, and a hard stone platform beneath his feet. Where the hell did I end up? Is this still in China? Just as Su Han was complaining about how he had suddenly ended up on land this time, a clear, disbelieving girlish voice echoed in his mind. This big-mouthed monster fish is my destined tamed beast? Su Han looked up, curiously surveying her surroundings. Big-mouthed monster fish? Where is it? Where is it? But soon, when Su Han met Wu Yixian's eyes, which were filled with confusion and despair, he finally realized, big-mouthed monster fish. You mean me? Instantly, Su Han's forehead was covered in black lines. An ignorant human girl. You're the big-mouthed monster fish. Your whole family are big-mouthed monster fish. I am the kun-pan. In the northern sea there is a fish. Its name is kun, and the prung, which stirs up the water for 3,000 miles and soars up 90,000 miles. Do you understand? However, Su Han's anger could only turn into an even more intense pat-pat sound as he pounded on the stone platform. He seems to be trying to say something. Looking at Su Han, who was violently shaking his body, Wu Yixian was somewhat puzzled. According to the beast taming contract, the one with higher potential should be able to hear the thoughts of the one with lower potential. But why can't I hear anything? Could this big-mouthed monster fish not only be weak, but also stupid? Su Han. Holy crap. Su Han turned his life around and decided to ignore this silly girl. Talking to her is a waste of your life. You'd be better off sunbathing. It seems I didn't transmigrate again, but was just bound by this silly girl's contract. That's fine. After all, this world has abundant spiritual energy, which is more conducive to my development. But I should say it. Truly worthy of being called a kun-pan, it remains completely unaffected even when out of water. At this moment, after a brief period of deathly silence, the stillness on the playground of Donghai City No. 1 Middle School was finally broken, and various suppressed discussions surged up like a tide. A fish? And such a small one at that. This is the beast that Wu Yixian awakened? Can this beast even fight? 100 points of mental energy, and all you summoned was a tiny fish? It looks even less than an ant, doesn't it? I thought a true dragon was about to emerge from our Donghai City, but now, what a pity. I knew it. Having talent doesn't necessarily guarantee you'll awaken a good beast. Luck is also very important. The discussions were filled with doubt, disappointment, and even a hint of schadenfreude at the sight of a fairy falling to the mortal realm. On the podium, the expressions of Bai Di, the principal of No. 1 Middle School, and Gao Yi, the city lord of Donghai City, also turned extremely ugly. After all, their hard-won achievements have vanished. How could the two of them accept that? But even if you don't want to accept it, reality is what it is. Wu Yixian's tamed beast was a small fish fry that looked harmless and was upside down, seemingly dead. Humph. Nonsense. You're simply wasting my time. Gao Yi flung his hand away, his face ashen, and left. Seeing this, Bai Di shook his head bitterly, looking at Wu Yixian, who was still standing there in despair, with a complicated expression. His voice carried a hint of regret and an undeniable authority. Wu Yixian, your tamed beast. Fine, you can transfer to the logistics department tomorrow. After saying that, Bai Di turned around and hurriedly left, following the city lord's footsteps. Upon hearing Bai Di's words, Wu Yixian finally came to her senses. I'll transfer to the logistics department. The logistics department is a place prepared for those awakened beast tamers who have no combat potential whatsoever. There, the learning will no longer be about how to become stronger or how to fight, but about how to raise and tame beasts and how to provide logistical support to the frontline warriors. To put it bluntly, it cuts off the path to becoming a strong person. Even the best outcome would only be becoming a wealthy man or a high-level employee. For Wu Yixian, who was determined to return to her peak, even surpass her previous life, and take revenge on that damned kun-pan, this was tantamount to a death sentence for her martial arts path. At the very least, it's the death penalty in the conventional sense.
I
will not go to the logistics department. Wu Yixian silently put the beast she had grabbed into her pocket, then turned around. She noticed that several classmates who used to have a good relationship with her were now subconsciously avoiding her. The world is so cold and indifferent. In the suburbs of Donghai City, there is a somewhat old but tidy courtyard. Looking at the motionless little fish in my newly bought fish tank, well, a soft sigh echoed in the quiet room, filled with helplessness. I never imagined that my tamed beasts in this life would be countless times weaker than the sparrows in my previous life. Wu Yixian looked at Su Han and murmured to herself, that sparrow in my previous life, although it was very ordinary, at least had the ability to fly, which helped me overcome many difficulties in the early stages. But this little fish fry, they probably have trouble even leaving water. They're not even as lowly as ants, are they? I'm finished. Hearing Wu Yixian's mutterings to himself, Su Han opened his eyes instantly. Oh, a reincarnated person. But what Wu Yixian said next almost made Su Han choke on his water. How am I supposed to defeat that damned kun-pan and make him pay for his crimes with blood if I have such a beast? Su Han, who was watching the melon, was stunned. He never expected that watching the melon would lead to him getting involved. And it sounds like she was killed by him in her previous life. He and she have a blood feud. Just as Su Han was analyzing whether it was himself or Wu Yixian, the original form of kun-pan. Call. Wu Yixian suddenly took a deep breath, then looked up sharply, her eyes burning with renewed intensity. No, I absolutely cannot give up. She clenched her fist. I am the Empress of the Sun and Moon. Even if my natal beast is weaker in this life, I still have the cultivation experience, combat skills, and knowledge of various secret realms and treasures from my previous life. This is my greatest advantage. Wu Yixian's voice gradually became stronger, carrying an indomitable tenacity. A young woman should soar to the heavens, embracing the stars and chasing the sun. Just go forth and brave the waves, compete with all living beings. Every step you take is a vast expanse of 80,000 miles, and every glance you take is 1,000 rivers with white waves crashing. Your style is something that others wouldn't even dare to dream of. And a bit cringy. Su Han watched Wu Yixian get all fired up and silently complained to himself. But he had to admit that he felt a slight admiration for this enemy. After all, if we put ourselves in their shoes, in a world where beast taming is revered and one's destined beast is incredibly important and irreplaceable, if Su Han were to contract a little fish seedling with no fighting ability, he probably wouldn't be as quick to recover as Wu Yixian. After all, if you encounter an opponent of the same level, it will be a 2-on-1 situation. How can you win? I can only say, she truly lives up to her title as the Empress of the Sun and Moon. Su Han nodded to himself. At this moment, Wu Yixian's gaze finally refocused on Su Han. Little one, are you hungry? As she spoke, Wu Yixian grabbed a few blood ants that she had bought along with the fish tank and threw them into the tank. After all, she and the little fish in front of her are now one in life and death. She doesn't want to starve to death because of her natal beast before she achieves enlightenment, causing her to vanish into nothingness as well. She couldn't guarantee that she could be reborn again. Upon seeing the blood ants in the fish tank, Su-han's eyes lit up. The opportunity to devour has arrived. The ants in my past life were incredibly strong. They could lift objects hundreds of times their own weight. I wonder if these blood ants have this kind of innate talent. In front of the fish tank, Wu Yixian watched as the tricolor fry in the fish tank swallowed the blood ants floating on the surface of the water one by one with a speed that was disproportionate to its tiny size. She couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Although it's a bit slow, it's very greedy, so it should be easy to raise. She was genuinely afraid that this sickly, big-mouthed monster fish, which kept turning its belly up all the time, would starve to death. You're the idiot. Your whole family are idiots. You can't read my mind because your potential is low. In the beast taming contract, I am the one in control. While devouring the blood ants, Su-han blew a bubble in Wu Yixian's direction and complained. But I have to admit, this beast taming contract is quite beastly. Whoever has greater potential will dominate the contract. It seems that the heavenly way does not blindly favor the human race. Su-han shook his head, no longer dwelling on Wu Yixian, this silly girl who didn't recognize Mount Tai, and focused his attention back on the delicious food in front of him. Although these blood ants are tiny, they contain a trace of blood energy within them. For Su-han, who urgently needs energy to grow, this is undoubtedly a timely help. Hot. Chicken flavor, crunchy. Devoured blood ants, devouring rate plus 0.03. Devoured blood ants, devouring rate plus 0.025. By the fish tank, Wu Yixian noticed that Su-han was no longer paying attention to her, so she quietly observed for a while longer. Only after confirming that the silly fish seemed to be quite resilient and was not at risk of dying suddenly did she stand up. Little guy, it seems you're quite satisfied with the taste of the blood ants. Then you eat first. I'm going out for a bit. I'm not planning on going to the logistics department. Wu Yixian's eyes sharpened, watching Wu Yixian's departing figure. She's a reincarnated person. She should be fine. Su-han shook his head and continued eating. Devoured blood ants, devouring rate plus 0.05. Devoured blood ants, devouring rate plus 0.018. After a long while, until Su-han had devoured all the blood ants that Wu Yixian had sprinkled into the fish tank, he patted his half-full belly and said, "Delicious, but I don't know what's going on with this devouring speed. How come it's already at 61%? As if in response to Su-han's thoughts, the light blue data panel reappeared in front of Su-han. Ding. Devouring progress is the host's plundering progress when devouring creatures with innate talents. Once the devouring progress reaches 100%, the host will definitely plunder the other party's innate talent. Note, the increase in devouring power depends on the strength and bloodline purity of the devoured creature. If the other party is strong enough or its bloodline is pure enough, it is possible that one creature is enough to satisfy the energy requirements of the talent plunder. Hiss. Looking at the system's explanation, Su-han's eyes lit up with surprise. So, blood ants really do have innate talents. I was just disappointed. After all, I devoured so many blood ants, but I didn't change at all. But now it seems the quantity is insufficient. Thinking this, Su-han pushed off with her tail and jumped out of the fish tank. She used her wings to support herself on the table and walked to the blood ant box that Wu Yixian had placed there. There was only a little bit. Who could eat that much? If others see this, they'll think I can't afford it. With that, Su-han used her little wings to open the box and began a new round of sweeping. Devoured blood ants, devouring rate plus 0.03. Devoured blood ants, devouring rate plus 0.011. Devoured blood ants, devouring rate plus 0.035. The light blue notification scrolled rapidly in front of Su-han's eyes. As he watched the devouring progress approach 100%, Su-han's eyes were filled with anticipation. until when the last few blood ants were swallowed, devoured blood ants, devouring rate plus 0.029, absorption rate 100%. Why suddenly so sleepy? In an instant, Su-han's consciousness became blurred. Before he could even think, his small body swayed. Clatter. He slumped softly into the empty box containing the blood ants and fell into a deep sleep. But just as he fell into a deep sleep, something strange happened. A rich, crimson light seeped from his body, not dazzling or blinding, but rather carrying a profound sense of primal life. The blood-red light quickly enveloped his tiny body, forming an oval-shaped blood cocoon about the size of a thumb. The surface of the blood cocoon was smooth, with a faint shimmering light flowing through it, as if it were breathing, undulating and pulsating slightly. The principal's office at Donghai City's number 1 high school. Wu Yixian, I'm doing this all for your own good. Principal Bai Di of number 1 middle school sat behind his large desk, his hands clasped on the table, looking at the girl opposite him with a formulaic tone of regret and unquestionable authority. Your tamed beast, he shook his head. To put it bluntly, it could eat a few ordinary ants. You've awakened such a beast, and you still insist on staying in the combat squad? The only result can be death. For my own good? Wu Yixian sneered inwardly. She was a reincarnated person. In her previous life, she had seen through the mercenary nature of the principal in front of her. When she was just an ordinary beast tamer, did the headmaster ever care whether she lived or died? Until she began to distinguish herself and advance to the emperor level, Principal Bai Di's attitude changed instantly. Nowadays, he speaks grandly, saying things like, it's for your own good. But in reality, whether Wu Yixian lives or dies, this principal never truly cares. All he cared about was Donghai number 1 middle school's college entrance rate and excellence rate, as well as the reputation and benefits he gained from them. Now, the fact that he, a useless student, is stuck in the combat platoon and is taking the college entrance examination will undoubtedly lower the overall score of the school and affect his political achievements. But Wu Yixian absolutely has to take this college entrance exam. It wasn't to prove herself. It was because in her previous life, her ordinary sparrow-tamed beast was able to advance to the king level because of her experience in the Azure Profound Cave Heaven during the college entrance examination. They obtained the ancient treasure, the Star Dao fruit, which can cleanse the marrow and improve the purity of the beast-taming bloodline. In this life, although her beast taming is weaker, but precisely because of this, she needs the Star Dao fruit even more. Otherwise, that silly fish has no ability to protect itself at all. She's really afraid that the aftershocks of her future battle with a powerful opponent will kill the opponent, and then she'll die along with it. This way of dying is so humiliating. Thinking it over, Wu Yixian looked at Bai Di again. Principal, I know you mean well. But who says that if a beast is weak, its master can't become a strong one? I, Wu Yixian, don't believe in that. Bai Di frowned slightly, about to retort. Wu Yixian spoke first. How about this, Principal? Please give me a chance to prove myself, okay? Oh. Bai Di raised an eyebrow slightly, leaned back in his chair, and showed a hint of interest. How do you want to prove yourself? When I came to school, I heard people say that the one with the strongest potential in our school's awakening ceremony is Bai Weiwei from Class 2 of Senior 3, whose awakened beast is the Gale Wolf, a magical beast-level beast. Wu Yixian said neither humbly nor arrogantly, 1 week from now, at the school training ground, I will challenge Bai Weiwei. If I lose, I will voluntarily transfer to the logistics class and never linger again, nor will I ever drag down the college entrance examination pass rate of our Donghai number 1 middle school. But Wu Yixian changed the subject, her eyes burning. If I win, it proves that I deserve to stay in the combat class, and I must participate in the college entrance examination a month from now. Hiss. Upon hearing Wu Yixian's words, Bai Di was slightly taken aback, and then almost burst out laughing. You pathetic fish that can suffocate out of water. You think you can fight our Weiwei's Gale Wolf? Bai Weiwei is his granddaughter, with outstanding talent. and the Gale Wolf is a magical beast with extraordinary potential. He simply does not believe that Wu Yixian has any chance of winning. This is simply ignorance is bliss. However, this is fine too. It's a good opportunity to legitimately remove this troublemaker from the combat unit without giving anyone grounds for criticism. Thinking of this, Bai Di put on that fair and impartial expression again.
Fine.
Since you insist, I'll give you that chance. 1 week from now, at the school's training ground number 1, you and Bai Weiwei will have a public match. The winner stays, the loser leaves. Thank you, Principal. Wu Yixian felt a weight lifted from her heart. Although the road ahead is still difficult, at least we have gained a precious week and an opportunity. She bowed slightly and said, "Then I won't bother you any longer." After saying that, she turned around, straightened her back, and walked out of the principal's office. The door closed behind him, shutting out Bai Di's slightly mocking gaze. Wu Yixian walked quickly down the empty corridor. Sunlight streamed through the window and fell on her, but it couldn't dispel the seriousness between her brows. 1 week, that's too short a time. She muttered to herself, "I must find a way to improve my strength as soon as possible. As for that silly fish, Sai, I just hope he doesn't cause me any trouble." As Wu Yixian pondered this, she subconsciously touched her pocket. The room was empty, and then she remembered that she had left the silly fish in the fish tank at home. I wonder if that silly fish got eaten by the blood ants. It shouldn't be that bad. After all, blood ants would drown if they entered water. Never mind. I'd better hurry back and check. Donghai City, suburbs. Wu Yixian pushed open the slightly old door, and her gaze immediately fell on the fish tank by the window as she entered the room. With just one glance, Wu Yixian's heart sank, and she felt a chill run through her. The fish tank was completely empty. The clear water rippled gently in the setting sun. A few lonely water plants swayed, and there was no trace of that silly fish. Gold, blue, and white markings that always liked to lie belly up. Where did my silly fish go? Wu Yixian was startled. Could it really have been eaten by the blood ants? But she quickly shook her head. After all, she had signed a beast taming contract with that silly fish, and if that silly fish died, she would not survive either. If it wasn't eaten by the blood ants, where did it go? Could it have jumped out on its own? Thinking it over, Wu Yixian immediately began searching the room. Floor, corners, desktop. When her gaze fell upon the empty box that had originally contained blood ants, the anxiety on her face was instantly replaced by a look of astonishment and bewilderment. Inside the empty blood ant box, a fish was lying peacefully. The fish is still gold, blue, and white, but the colors are more vivid and pure than before. The lines are smooth and beautiful, and the scales shimmer with a lustrous sheen, exuding a kind of exquisite beauty that is hard to describe. Its size has also changed from that insignificant little fry to about the size of an adult's palm. What shocked Wu Yixian the most about her worldview was this fish's sleeping posture. It doesn't float or sink quietly like ordinary fish, but rather lies on its side at the bottom of the box, just like a human. Its strange pair of wings, which resembled both fish fins and the structure of some kind of bird's wings, used one as a pillow under its head, and the other casually covered its navel. If fish had nails, this is my stupid fish. At this moment, Wu Yixian could hardly believe her eyes. After all, it's only been half a day. How come this silly fish has suddenly grown so much? And its appearance has changed drastically too. From that big-mouthed monster fish, it has transformed into this work of art. Is he really a fish? Who sleeps like that? And he's been out of the water for so long and he's completely fine? Isn't he afraid of dying of thirst? A series of questions bubbled up in her mind. Wu Yixian was stunned and speechless for a long time. Just then, it seemed that Wu Yixian's exclamation had disturbed her sweet dream. Su Han, still half asleep, stirred impatiently inside the box. "What are you barking like a dog? Can't the fish sleep?" Of course, Wu Yixian couldn't hear anything. She only saw her silly fish blow a bubble. But soon, Su Han finally regained full consciousness. He instantly realized something was wrong. I was just about devouring the blood ants, preparing to plunder their talents, Conrad suddenly falls asleep. The next second, Soo-han also noticed the abnormality of himself. His size increased dramatically from the size of a thumb to the size of a palm, and a sense of power filled his entire body. Am I growing up? What about the blood ants' talents? Did they successfully steal them? As Soo-han pondered, a thought flashed through his mind, and a light blue personal attribute panel appeared before his eyes. Name: Soo-han. Race: kun-pan, juvenile. Rank: kun-pan, one of the 10 ancient demons. Demon power: 1.1 known. Corresponds to level 1 Beastmaster. Beastmasters are officially rated by humans and are divided into 1 to 9 levels. Skills: none. Contractor: Wu Yixian. Innate divine abilities: devouring heaven and earth. Kun-pan fighting technique. Talent: mighty strength. Beginner passively increases the host's strength tenfold. Innate strength: 10 times the strength. A surge of joy welled up in Soo-han's heart. The plunder was really successful. Truly talented, amazing. Take Wu Yixian as an example. Soo-han has seen it. She is currently a level 2 beast tamer, and her full force attack can generate about 500 kilograms of force. Although Soo-han is only roughly equivalent to a level 1 beastmaster with a basic strength of only 100 kilograms, his explosive power can reach a terrifying 1,000 kilograms with a tenfold amplification of his great strength talent. Of course, Soo-han also understood that the beastmaster level represented an all-around improvement, including speed, reaction time, mental strength, etc. Even so, this immense strength is nothing short of extraordinary. After all, the stronger Soo-han is, the stronger his talent becomes, and most importantly, the talent panel clearly displays the word beginner. This means there is still a huge amount of room for growth before one can truly develop their talent. As long as I keep devouring the blood ants. Just as Soo-han was marveling at the power of his immense strength talent, he suddenly noticed that his innate divine ability had also changed. This time, I not only plundered the talent of immense strength, but I actually awakened another innate divine ability. Thinking it over, Soo-han couldn't wait to say, System, check the kun-pan fighting technique. Kun-pan combat technique, one of the kun-pan clan's inherited treasure techniques, containing the ultimate principles of heaven and earth, unparalleled in its ferocity. When cultivated to its peak, it can annihilate stars and shatter the void. Hiss. Upon reading the description of the kun-pan fighting technique, Soo-han couldn't help but gasp. Annihilating stars, shattering the void. What an overbearing and powerful description. As expected of me, the supreme kun-pan. Moreover, the kun-pan fighting technique, combined with the terrifying power foundation brought by the great strength talent, is simply a match made in heaven. No matter how many techniques you have, I can break them with a single punch. For a moment, Soo-han's heart was filled with anticipation for the future. Just as Soo-han was immersed in the immense joy of his increased strength, Wu Yixian finally snapped out of her shock. She made her move first, grabbing Soo-han, who was still playing with his wings inside the box. Actually, he was familiarizing himself with his body and talents. You silly fish. You're lucky to have survived. You even grew bigger. Wu Yixian muttered to herself as she put him back into the fish tank. Aren't you afraid of dying of thirst after being away from water for so long? Immediately, Wu Yixian picked up the empty blood ant box again. Seeing that there wasn't even a trace left inside, she couldn't help but feel a pang of heartache. Wow, you can really eat a whole box of blood ants, and you finished it in just half a day. This is all money. Wu Yixian sighed, her delicate brows furrowing slightly. Blood ants are rich in vital energy, making them one of the best foods available on the market for building a foundation for beast taming, and therefore they are not cheap. To ensure her silly fish could build a good foundation, Wu Yixian reluctantly bought just one box. She had thought this box would last Soo-han at least 10 days to 2 weeks, but she never expected, in just half a day, a box of blood ants was gone. Wu Yixian came from an ordinary family. As the most talented student in the school, She relied entirely on the school's scholarships and resources to cultivate. But now, she has awakened a useless fish, so she can no longer count on getting a scholarship. Moreover, in a week, I will be facing Bai Weiwei and her Gale Wolf. As I am now, I have almost no chance of winning. We must find a way to quickly improve our own strength. And the fastest way to become stronger is undoubtedly to buy evolution fluid, but that costs money. Feeding the fish costs money too. And it seems this silly fish has quite an appetite. Looking at Su Han in the fish tank, who seemed to still be savoring the taste of blood ants, Wu Yixian felt a pang of sadness. Oh my god, why am I so unlucky? Other people who are reborn have cheat codes and dominate the world, but how did I end up with a useless fish like you, a money-devouring beast? The pressure came like a mountain. How can I make money quickly? Wu Yixian frowned, pondering a quick way to make money. Go do odd jobs? That's a drop in the ocean. Hunting low-level monsters outside the city. Leaving aside the dangers, with her current strength and that silly fish, it's uncertain who will hunt whom. Suddenly, a flash of inspiration struck Wu Yixian, reminding her of a major event from her past life. Around the time of her college entrance exam, a treasure was said to have appeared unexpectedly in the Shipwreck Bay area outside Donghai City, attracting the attention and competition of many forces and causing quite a stir at the time. In her previous life, she was too weak to even be a spectator. She only heard snippets of conversation about it later. Shipwreck Bay, that treasure. Wu Yixian's eyes gradually brightened. If I remember the exact location and time correctly, that treasure should not have been discovered by anyone yet. In an instant, a bold idea sprouted in Wu Yixian's mind, to go and take that treasure ahead of time. Although Shipwreck Bay is close to the coastline, low-level aquatic monsters occasionally appear, so there is some risk. But compared to the value of that treasure and our current dire need for money, this risk is worth taking. In an instant, Wu Yixian no longer hesitated. She glanced at Su Han in the fish tank, walked over, and picked up the fish tank with both hands. After all, she didn't know how many days she would be gone, and she was worried about leaving this silly fish alone at home. Come on, little one, let's go earn money for your and my milk powder. Going on an exploration trip to earn money for baby formula? Upon hearing Wu Yixian's words, Su Han's eyes lit up, and he even showed some anticipation. After all, he had just acquired the kun-pan fighting technique. But just how powerful is the innate divine power of the kun-pan clan? Practice is the only criterion for testing. However, I'll pass on the fish tank. Those things are bulky and conspicuous, which would seriously damage my expert image. After all, as the future kun-pan emperor, how could he be confined to a small glass tank, being carried around like a bonsai by mere humans? The next second, to Wu Yixian's astonishment, Su Han gently flicked its tail, and its body leaped out of the fish tank like a streak of colorful light. It precisely traced an arc and slid in with a whoosh along Wu Yixian's slightly open collar. A pair of golden wings were stuck in the zipper, with only a fish head showing. On the other hand, Wu Yixian felt the icy touch coming from in front of her and froze on the spot. Immediately afterwards, all the blood rushed his cheeks, making them flush red, and even his ears turned crimson. You stupid fish. What are you doing? Wu Yixian's voice changed, filled with disbelief, shame, and panic. She instinctively wanted to drag Su Han out. Upon hearing this, Su Han adjusted his posture, leisurely tucking his strange pair of wings, which resembled both fish fins and wings, behind his head and comfortably lay down. She even found Wu Yixian's fussing a bit noisy and kicked her lightly with her fish tail in dissatisfaction. What's all the fuss about? Let's go, let's go. You. Wu Yixian's forehead instantly covered in black lines. She was so angry she was practically fuming. But, strangely enough, she felt that she had actually understood his meaning from the silly fish's actions, that he found the fish tank troublesome and wanted her to leave quickly. But the spot that silly fish chose is just so embarrassing. Wu Yixian found it hard to accept. After all, she was once the empress of the sun and moon, a flower on a high mountain, When had she ever had such intimate contact with a man? No. When had she ever had such intimate contact with any living being? But in the end, fine. Compared to carrying a fragile, conspicuous glass fish tank that would seriously hinder the fight, this situation is much better. At the very least, it provides extremely high concealment and does not affect one's actions or combat at all. Wu Yixian comforted herself. Anyway, he's just a fish. A stupid fish. A baby stupid fish. Why should I argue with a fish? I'll just consider it a necklace. But the only thing that puzzled Wu Yixian was, is this silly fish of mine really a fish? What kind of fish can leave the water so naturally and still be lively and energetic? Which fish would choose to sleep in a lying position like a human? What kind of fish would choose its own seat and even pick the most comfortable one? Does he really lack wisdom? But if he has wisdom, why can't he perceive his inner thoughts at all? As for Su-han's talent being stronger than hers, which is why she couldn't hear Su-han's thoughts, Wu Yixian never thought about it in that way. This is not blind arrogance, but rather stems from the absolute confidence of a peak powerhouse in a previous life. In her previous life, she was the Sun and Moon Empress, one of the 10 strongest human races, a prodigy who swept across an era. Reborn, although all cultivation and spiritual power have been reduced to zero, talent, experience, and vision remain. Therefore, how could there possibly be a beast tamer in the world with a talent more extraordinary than hers? Even considering all the top experts she knew from the various races of the heavens, including the demon race and the ancient race, in her previous life, Wu Yixian only felt that her talent was. She was only slightly inferior to her mortal enemy, who was equally brilliant and rose from humble beginnings in a mere century. Ultimately, he ruled the forbidden zone of life, the abyss of the endless North Sea, and was revered as the eternal teacher of the demon race, Emperor Kun-pan. Apart from the mysterious and powerful Kun-pan Emperor, which of the so-called strong men of other races did not cultivate for thousands or tens of thousands of years before reaching their peak. If given 10,000 years, Wu Yixian is confident. He only needs one hand to suppress those so-called ancestors. So, what makes this silly fish think it has the right to compare its talent with its own? In the end, Wu Yixian shook her head. Perhaps this silly fish of mine has some intelligence, but not much. Its mind is incredibly simple, and its memory can only last for 7 seconds. So, that's why I can't hear what he's really thinking. You silly girl. You're the one who's simple-minded. Your memory only lasts for 7 seconds. Listening to Wu Yixian's thoughts, Su-han couldn't help but roll his eyes at him. I am the mortal enemy Kun-pan that you mentioned. Isn't it normal that your talent is inferior to mine? I just don't know what the future holds. When I, Kun, transform into Peng, the image you see of me will be exactly the same as your mortal enemy. What would you be thinking then? Su-han found amusing and kicked the soft flesh again with her fishtail. He gestured for her to stop daydreaming and hurry on her way. Wu Yixian was instantly pulled back from her thoughts. Sensing the movement in front of her, the blush that had just faded from her face returned. She raised her hand and flicked Su-han's head. Behave yourself. If you move again, I'll turn you into braised fish. Su-han didn't care at all. Wu Yixian didn't exert any force at all. It was almost like tickling. He adjusted his posture, preparing to take a nap. Looking at Su-han, who had fallen silent, Wu Yixian felt something was off and was extremely conflicted. But in the end, he didn't say much. After all, it was just a stupid fish without any intelligence. Thinking it over, Wu Yixian went out, boarded a bus, and headed towards the city gate. Once outside the city, there were no more modern means of transportation. After all, due to the resurgence of spiritual energy, magical beasts frequently appear outside the city. Therefore, Wu Yixian could only rely on her own 2 legs to walk towards Shipwreck Bay. Su-han, meanwhile, curiously surveyed the unfamiliar surroundings. Since transmigrating to this point, this is the first time Su-han has left the city, except for the bottom of the endless North Sea. The air was filled with a spiritual energy much richer than that inside the city, but it was also mixed with the smell of decaying vegetation and a faint, almost imperceptible, fishy odor. The vegetation was far more lush and wild than on Earth in the previous life, and many plants had undergone strange changes in form, exuding a primitive and dangerous aura. In the distance, the faint howls of an unknown wild beast could be heard. It looks pretty much like the fantasy world I imagined. Su-han secretly assessed that it was both novel and wary. Shipwreck Bay isn't too far from Donghai City, but it still took Wu Yixian almost an hour to walk there. When she brought Su-han to their destination, it was already getting dark. The afterglow of the setting sun dyed the sea a magnificent orange red, reflecting on a bay full of jagged rocks and rotten wooden shipwrecks. This was Shipwreck Bay. The sea breeze, carrying a salty smell, rushed towards me, and the waves crashed against the rocks, making a splashing sound. If I remember correctly, Wu Yixian narrowed her eyes, carefully searching with the help of the vague fragments of her past life's memories. Her gaze swept across the rocky area, finally settling on a huge reef with an extremely peculiar shape, resembling a stone dragon reaching its head into the sea. That's it. A look of surprise instantly flashed in Wu Yixian's eyes. The treasure that caused such a stir in the past life is said to be related to this reef that resembles a stone dragon. Without further hesitation, she immediately took a step and ran carefully and quickly toward the stone dragon reef. Nestled in his reserved seat, Su-han peeked out and looked at the increasingly approaching peculiar reef, a sense of anticipation rising within him as well. He could vaguely sense that the water elements and spatial fluctuations near the stone dragon reef seemed to have subtle, unusual features. A secret realm? A treasure trove? Interesting. Shipwreck Bay, due to its unique geographical location and treacherous currents, has become a graveyard for large ships. Countless steel shipwrecks, both new and old, are scattered on the beach and in the shallow waters. The stark white bones, like those of a colossal beast, appeared particularly desolate in the fading light of the sky. The waves relentlessly pounded against the wreckage and dark rocks, emitting mournful cries. Wu Yixian's target, the huge reef shaped like a stone dragon exploring the sea, stands in a secluded reef area a little away from the main beach, requiring one to wade through knee-deep water to reach it. "Hold on tight, you silly fish." Wu Yixian said something in a low voice, then activated her weak spiritual power to protect her body and carefully stepped into the cold seawater. Su-han peeked out from under her collar, curiously looking around. All around was quiet except for the waves. There was no sign of any biological activity in the seawater. It's bizarre, absolutely bizarre. Even the closer Su-han got to the stone dragon reef, the more clearly he could feel the abnormal energy fluctuations. It didn't seem to be pure water element. It seemed to contain an extremely ancient and obscure spatial power. And a trace of faint pressure? This place is not simple. Su-han secretly became wary. Wu Yixian was also completely focused. Her past life experience told her that the closer one got to the treasure, the more dangerous it often was. Therefore, she walked with extreme caution, her mental energy highly concentrated, sensing every slight movement around her. But thankfully, everything went smoothly, and she soon arrived safely at the foot of Shirlong Reef. Standing at the foot of Shirlong Reef, the reef appears even larger, its surface covered with holes eroded by seawater and dead oyster shells, while the dragon's head part points diagonally towards the sea. Due to years of erosion, a partially submerged cave entrance has been formed below. Dark and deep, like the gaping maw of a dragon. The entrance should be right below here. Wu Yixian observed the subtle differences in the water flow around the cave, confirmed the direction, and then carefully checked her surroundings. Only after she confirmed that everything was normal did she bend down and prepare to dive into the water. However, just as Wu Yixian bent over, lowered her center of gravity, and touched the water's surface, buzz. A deep, resonant hum, seemingly emanating from the depths of the ocean, suddenly rang out. "Oh no! It's a restriction." Wu Yixian's expression changed drastically as she felt the seawater around her suddenly become viscous. A deep sea current, which even a level 2 beast tamer like her could not resist, suddenly appeared without warning, swirling and sucking wildly around the cave below Stone Dragon Reef. Escape. Wu Yixian immediately wanted to retreat. However, she discovered to her horror, this undercurrent was not formed from ordinary seawater. It also contained incredibly chaotic and violent spatial power. I've never heard of such a dangerous place in my previous life. What kind of treasure must be protected by such a powerful barrier? Looking at the powerful spatial current, Wu Yixian felt an immense curiosity about this secret realm. But despite her curiosity, she was desperately trying to back away. After all, no matter how good a treasure is, you need to be alive to enjoy it. This is only the first barrier, and she can't even get past it. Clearly, this secret realm is far beyond the reach of someone as low as level 2. Unfortunately, it was too late. The suction force of the spatial undercurrent was far greater than Wu Yixian had imagined. Her weak power was like an ant in the face of this spatial undercurrent, which was as powerful as heaven and earth. Thump! Before she could put up any effective resistance, she and Su Han in her arms were completely swept up by the powerful dark blue current. As soon as she entered the undercurrent, Wu Yixian felt dizzy and the world was spinning, as immense water pressure squeezed in from all directions. Even more terrifying is the chaotic spatial energy within that undercurrent, like countless tiny blades, frantically sliced through her body and protective spiritual power. Wu Yixian felt her blood surging, as if her internal organs were about to shift, and all she could hear was the roaring sound of water dragons. And, at this moment, the moment Su Han entered the undercurrent, his feelings were completely different from Wu Yixian's. The chaotic energy, powerful enough to annihilate ordinary demonic beasts, struck him, causing some stinging pain, but more than anything, it brought an indescribable sense of warmth. The kun-pan bloodline within his body began to operate on its own, and every cell emitted a hungry hiss. What appears to be a deadly spatial undercurrent to others is, in the eyes of Su Han, an ancient kun-pan with an innate sensitivity to spatial power. This is clearly a pure and exquisite, delicious feast, containing the power of space. This is amazing. Su Han was overjoyed. Just as Su Han was overjoyed, Wu Yixian seemed to have finally reached her limit. She only managed to let out a short, muffled groan before her consciousness was quickly swallowed by darkness, and she completely lost consciousness. Wow. Don't you dare die. Seeing that Wu Yixian had fallen into a coma so quickly, Su Han was startled and immediately crawled out from Wu Yixian's collar. He faced the surging, destructive aura of the dark blue spatial currents. Instead of being afraid, it opened its mouth. kun-pan treasure technique. Devouring heaven and earth. Boom. In an instant, an aura even more ancient and domineering than this undercurrent erupted from Su Han's body, which was no bigger than a palm. The originally raging, dark blue currents seemed to have encountered their nemesis, emitting terrified cries as they struggled, yet were irresistibly pulled and compressed, transforming into streams of pure blue spatial power. Like 100 rivers flowing into the sea, it surged wildly into Su Han's mouth. Gulp. Gulp. This was the first time Su Han had ever devoured something on such a large scale. He felt as if his body had become a bottomless pit. Countless spatial forces surged into his body, while the kun-pan bloodline operated at high speed, guiding and refining these chaotic spatial forces. Time passed second by second. In this endless process of devouring and refining, suddenly, Su Han felt something strange inside his body, as if some barrier had been forcibly broken through. The next second, a strange, gray space, roughly 10 cubic meters in size, suddenly appeared inside his body. Buzz. A buzzing sound, perceptible only to Su Han, resounded deep within his consciousness. Innate divine ability, kun-pan nest, an independent primordial space created within the kun-pan clan using spatial power, capable of containing all things. To contain all things? including living things, right? Suhan's eyes lit up as he looked at the introduction on the light blue personal attribute panel in front of him. If it were just a separate storage space, Suhan wouldn't think it was a big deal, since there are many spatial treasures in this world that can do that. But it's not so simple when it comes to accommodating living creatures. Buddhism says, one flower, one world. One leaf, one Bodhi. Since this space can accommodate living beings, could it evolve into a perfect world as its strength grows? Even if it doesn't work out, at least it can become a blessed land, right? What a blessed land. I've encountered an enemy I can't defeat. Hee hee. For a moment, Suhan was filled with immense excitement. After all, the awakening of the innate divine power of the kun-pan nest is definitely an unexpected surprise. And that's not all. Gulp. Gulp. This was the first time Suhan had ever devoured something on such a large scale. He felt as if his body had become a bottomless pit. Countless spatial forces surged into his body, while the kun-pan bloodline operated at high speed, guiding and refining these chaotic spatial forces. Time passed second by second. In this endless process of devouring and refining, suddenly, Suhan felt something strange inside his body, as if some barrier had been forcibly broken through. The next second, a strange, gray space, roughly 10 cubic meters in size, suddenly appeared inside his body. Buzz. A buzzing sound, perceptible only to Suhan, resounded deep within his consciousness. Innate divine ability, kun-pan nest, an independent primordial space created within the kun-pan clan using spatial power, capable of containing all things. To contain all things? Including living things, right? Suhan's eyes lit up as he looked at the introduction on the light blue personal attribute panel in front of him. If it were just a separate storage space, Suhan wouldn't think it was a big deal, since there are many spatial treasures in this world that can do that. But it's not so simple when it comes to accommodating living creatures. Buddhism says, one flower, one world. One leaf, one Bodhi. Since this space can accommodate living beings, could it evolve into a perfect world as its strength grows? Even if it doesn't work out, at least it can become a blessed land, right? What a blessed land. I've encountered an enemy I can't defeat. Hee hee. For a moment, Suhan was filled with immense excitement. After all, the awakening of the innate divine power of the kun-pan nest is definitely an unexpected surprise. And that's not all. As Suhan broke through the first barrier, a ring that was neither gold nor wood, but black and gold in color, with lifelike dragon patterns carved on it, appeared and floated quietly in the water after losing the support of the spatial current. Is this the treasure protected by this first barrier? Suhan looked at the black and gold dragon-carved ancient ring, a hint of curiosity flashing in his eyes. The next second, a thought flashed through his mind. Stop. In an instant, the ring in front of him vanished, and the next moment, it lay quietly in the gray space inside Suhan's body. The instant the ring entered the space, a surge of information flooded into Suhan's mind. A death knell. The ring contains a strange, self-contained space called the Death Realm. Once activated, it can pull a designated target into the Death Realm. Only when one party is completely dead can one enter and exit the Death Realm again. Otherwise, even those proficient in spatial power will be completely unable to escape. During this period, the outside world cannot observe or interfere with the Death Realm, making it a true, unending struggle. The death-defying ring? A death-defying battle realm. A good item. Suhan took out the death ring and nodded slightly. Although he possesses the kun-pan nest, it currently lacks the means to imprison opponents, preventing them from escaping even if they are proficient in spatial power. Therefore, this death-defying ring, at certain times, this is undoubtedly a powerful trump card that leaves Suhan's enemies with nowhere to escape. Shipwreck Bay. Since Suhan had completely devoured the spatial power within the undercurrent, the seawater gradually returned to calm. Suhan felt the new space within his body and the cool black and gold dragon-carved ancient ring hanging on his little wings. He was completely satisfied with this adventure. A long time. Su Han snapped out of his daze and looked towards the second restriction, shimmering with a deep crimson hue in the endless depths of the sea. Then, he turned to look at Wu Yixian, who had fallen into a coma. The first restriction was already this dangerous. If it weren't for the fact that my kun-pan bloodline is close to the power of space, I would have lost my life. Never mind. We'll come back when we're stronger. Thinking it over, Su Han swam towards Wu Yixian, flicking his tail fin. Silly girl. You're lucky to have met your master. Su Han used his head to brace against Wu Yixian, preventing her from sinking, and then dragged her towards the shore. A salty sea breeze gently caressed the desolate beach of Shipwreck Bay. As the morning sun shone down, Wu Yixian's eyelashes fluttered a few times before she slowly opened her eyes. What comes into view is a blue sky and a few rays of golden sunlight filtering through the sparse clouds. She blinked blankly, her consciousness not yet fully returning. She felt as if her whole body was falling apart, weak and sore, and her head was also a little dizzy. Here it is. Wu Yixian propped herself up and sat up, her body resting on rough, cold gravel. Looking around, the familiar scene of wreckage came into view. In an instant, memories flooded back like a tidal wave. I remember now. Because I was broke, I went to Shipwreck Bay to find undiscovered treasures. Suddenly, a barrier was activated on the way, an undercurrent appeared, and then silly fish and I were swept into it. Then I passed out. Hiss! Where's my silly pet fish? Wu Yixian instantly regained full consciousness, startled. Without even checking herself, she hurriedly looked for Su Han. But soon, she breathed a sigh of relief.